In this video, we're going to take a look at how well the Gemini Pro 2.5 model does when generating OpenAPI documents. Gemini 2.5 Pro came out back in March and is currently sitting at #1 on the LM Arena leaderboard. We haven't put it through its paces yet when it comes to generating OpenAPI documents, but we're going to give it our standard prompt and see how well it does. Let's jump over to the Google AI Studio. We have our standard prompt here. I'll put it on the screen so you can pause and take a read if you need to. It's a very basic prompt. We don't put in a whole lot of additional instructions. Let's see how well it does on this initial pass with a very basic prompt to outline an API for a link shortening application called Mini Links. Okay, so it's done. It really didn't take very long at all. It was much faster than some of the other LLMs that we've previously tried here on the channel. So let's copy this, put it in our editor and get an initial score for it. So here's what it looks like inside of the editor, very much like an OpenAPI document, as you would expect. It's around about 700 lines, which is pretty much what we've come to expect from large language models on their first pass with this prompt at this point. Usually somewhere between 500 and 800 lines of JSON. It does appear to have the majority of the things that we would expect inside of a relatively high quality document. So let's find out how high quality it is by putting it into RateMyOpenAPI and getting a score for it. RateMyOpenAPI is the tool that we use here for generating scores for our LLM generated OpenAPI documents. You can use it too if you want. It's available at RateMyOpenAPI.com. There's a CLI that you can use directly inside of the editor to get scores inside of the command line. There is a GitHub action, so you can add this to your CI/CD pipeline and check your OpenAPI document scores as you're committing them to source control. There is an API, and of course, there is the website. Go ahead and check it out and get your scores and see how much you can improve your documents. Let's grab the one that we just generated, drag it in here, and get our initial score. So the report's ready. Let's click on check your report and we'll get that first score. Let's see how well Gemini 2.5 Pro did. An initial score of 87, which is very good. It's in the green, so it's already doing super well. 100 on documentation. We haven't seen that yet in any of the other tests that we've done. 97 for completeness, 99 for SDK generation. This is a really good first go. Always in the security is where these tend to fall down. And I think that's because unless you specifically state what kind of security you want, it either just guesses at something or it just doesn't bother to include it, which would make sense. You haven't given it that instruction, so why is it going to? But it's interesting to see some of the responses that you get back here around the security from LLMs. It's always the area where it scores the lowest. On the whole, a really, really good score and not a whole lot of stuff that needs improving here. So what we're going to do is take this and we're going to give it back to Gemini 2.5 Pro, I think in the form of a PDF. We could get the whole JSON response for this back from the RateMyOpenAPI API and give it that, but to be honest, that's a huge amount of repetitive information, which is an enormous amount of stuff for the context window. And the context window for Gemini 2.5 is actually massive, so it really wouldn't phase it that much. But we really don't need to go to that length in order to give this feedback over. It can do it with a very visual representation, which we have on the screen right here. So I'm going to print this to PDF and then we'll upload that and see if it can do as close to 100 for the score on its second try. Jumping back over to Google AI Studio, what I'm going to do is take that feedback that I have as a PDF and drag it over here so that I can go ahead and start to analyze that. And then we'll ask it to have another go based on the feedback that we have. Here's a document of feedback. Implement the suggestions it makes and try to get the OpenAPI document to an overall score of 100. Okay, let's see how well it does. Version 2 has now been generated, so let's copy this and create a new OpenAPI JSON file that we can give to RateMyOpenAPI and see if it's improved on that initial score. Let's drag that into RateMyOpenAPI and get the score. Okay, the document's been processed, so let's click on check your report and see how well it did. 98, a really significant improvement still from that initial version, and it looks like it's probably going to be 100 in just about every area with the exception of security here. There are just 2 warnings that need to be fixed, which would be a simple thing for it to do. If you told it to go ahead and do that, it would no doubt generate a document that would go ahead and score 100. What's really nice about this is we're seeing a significant difference now in terms of how well these LLMs are able to generate OpenAPI documents without a huge amount of rules. In a video I did previously with Emmanuel Paraskakis, we had a big prompt that had a whole lot of guardrails and a whole lot of information in there. I'm pretty sure that that would score 100 straight off in a 0 shot, absolutely no problem. But with a very minimal prompt, one that doesn't have a whole lot of knowledge in it, we're managing to get really, really strong API design documents in OpenAPI form from an LLM. And Gemini 2.5 Pro, I think, now sits at the very top of the leaderboard in terms of the videos that we have done on this channel. If you want to check out those videos, you can check out the playlist of all of the different API LLM experimentation that we've done so far. And if you're into this kind of video, then please do consider subscribing to the channel. We'd love to have you here. And of course, if you found this video interesting, and if you found it useful in any way, we'd love you to give it a like. Thanks very much, and I'll see you in the next one.